Okay, let us continue. Dr. Bobbie Beckman, thank you for coming. When I received your email, I was just like, oh yeah. Another one, he's been doing biological dentistry when I was still in elementary school, so I think there are several great doctors here from which young ones can learn a lot. And it's nice to see that they should be at the end of their careers, but no, just keep on moving, keep on, learning, train the greatest muscle you ever train. So without further words, Dr. Bobbie Beckman, and I hope he'll introduce more.
Yes, that's right. I was. I just got this small email from that there's a conference going on in Slovenia later on, and I didn't know that he has created the IOMT Europe section, because I've been a member of IOMT since the beginning of the 90s. So, and I was very glad about that, because I've tried to organize IOMT in Italy, but we were only two, and the other guy gave up. So I've been the IOMT Italy for some years. Anyway, I'm Swedish dentist. I'm educated graduated in Stockholm from Karolinska Institute at 71, and I've been working as a general practitioner since then. In 96, my wife Daniela and I moved to Italy and took with us our daughter Edel, that's over there, and we set up this studio together and continued what we had started with in Sweden at 89. In Sweden, we created the amalgam safe removing protocol, and elaborated that all the time. So we've been changing it all the time to make it better and better. Although we don't use the overalls and the helmets that we saw yesterday, which impressed me a lot, and I think I'll try that too. But we have for many years installed big tube that comes down from the ceiling in front of the patient's face, and it's connected to a general vacuum cleaner in the basement, and then we let the air out on the street through a garage. So it's rather a long way to go, but it seems it's very effective, and we can see on the inside that it's covered with grey stuff. That's the main suction. Then you have the small suction close to the amalgam, and then we use the cleanup, we use rubber dams, and all the rest with. I have this mask with two big filters, and that goes for my assistant too. So that's what we've been doing, and we started with amalgam, and then we started with still in the late 80s that the metals were doing harm to the patient. So we tried to take away the metals, but we couldn't. We just had to make bridges and crowns or something. So we choose titanium, and we forced Nobel Pharma, which was the titanium producer in Sweden at that time, to create some sort of coupling between ceramics and the titanium. And they did it then with a low temperature ceramic, and it was not very nice, but it works better with the patient. Took away the corrosion problems with a lot of at least 4 or 5 metals in the crown and the framework, and then the amalgams with another 5 metals, and gold crowns or so. So many people walked around with about 12 or more than metals in the mouth, and we just tried to eliminate that when we made new constructions. The titanium was all right at the beginning, but then we had some backlashes on that too, and that's when I came to Italy. I started with implants, and that was only titanium in the beginning. And then at a meeting, IMT meeting in Oxford with, yes, John was the head of that, and that was a big change for my career, where I met Sammy Sandhouse, which is a really father of zirconia implants. He needs an applause every time he shows up, and he's very good. He's still showing up on last time I saw him was in this summer in Italy, and he speaks, and he's very proud of his invention of the Insermed zirconia implants. He never commercialized it very hard. He just used it in Lausanne in his office, and he made a great job of this. He has implants put in from 75 to 70 that's still not from 85 that are still working. So I started with his implants, the Insermed implants. There were two. I show a picture of them. And these implants worked well. So gradually, I don't jump from one type of implant to another in one day. You just gradually ceases with the titanium implants. Every time I could see it here, I could as well use zirconia implants first on the one single implants, and then later on with the bridges. I would do it. So, and then from late 2008, I had tried first Sandhouse implants, then Zeta Systems when Folds came in 2002. I used them for 4 years, and then I switched over to Bread End White Sky, which I think is a wonderful implant too. What's always one piece. But as Sammy said, you can't solve everything with one piece implant. So when Dental Point came with Zeta Systems, with the ceramics, that was a big jump forward. So now I'm using ceramics mainly, and I don't use titanium implants anymore. And this is combined with the crowns and bridges. We do crowns and bridges in only zirconia, because I've had some misfortune with zirconia frames and aluminum, the ordinary ceramics on the outside to give the shape and the color. But when you nowadays the technicians, the laboratories can make wonderful only zirconia crowns and bridges, so that's what I use. Then again, you have to think all the time and be ahead of what you're doing and criticize yourself. And zirconia being so hard, aren't there any problems with it? Yes. Zirconia is not as, it's very well it adapts to the bone, the gums rests greatly around the implants, but it's very hard, and it's very hard system, and I don't have sufficiently long time to see what it really leads to. I've been doing the ceramic implants for 17 years now. I put in over 600. I've had 2 fractures, and one was my fault. So I can test that the zirconia implants is a wonderful and very, very good implant, and today, to me, it's the only one. But again, it's hard. And when I came across Kogulich implants in PEEK plastic, and I could see that perhaps this was the answer to an implant that is a bit more like in elasticity, like the bone. Yes. Thank you for giving me that email, Dara, because coming to not only yesterday I had one big experience after the other with all the presentations, and it was a really great day yesterday, and this place, which is wonderful, it's fantastic. So thank you. Why do we need implants? I think this is a nice smile where you shouldn't do anything at all. It's a very beautiful girl, and many dentists tried to make her accept orthodontics to put her teeth right, but she didn't want to. And I'm happy. She's just one of my patients, but I think her smile is one of them. I love it. You put implants in when there's a tooth missing, for instance. Of course, it's a very good thing to take the missing tooth out before you put the implants in. So you can put an implant in if you have a trauma reaction to the tooth. It dies and it gets compromised. So you put an implant in, and this is again the wonderful look of zirconia implants with a healthy rosa gum and no inflammation reaction around it. It actually, not in every case, but it actually grows on the surface of the zirconia. It grows fast. So many of the implants doesn't have any pockets around them. They don't even have the normal 2-3 millimeter. They're just stuck to the implant at the front, right from the beginning. Is that clear what I say? You can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. And a tooth on that. This is what it looked like immediately, and I think I can confirm what I haven't any picture of, but this small swelling gave away, and you can see that the gum is reacting very nicely around this implant. Sometimes you take a root canal tooth out. I could talk about root canal teeth for 2 days at least, and I won't do that, but it's a nuisance to do it. And if you take a root canal tooth out, it's amazing how many symptoms and illness you get rid of when you take root canal, things that people didn't even know they had or that was connected to the root canal tooth, like heavy conjunctivitis, rashes. There's a long list just as long as amalgam filling reactions covered with root canals. So I don't do root canals anymore, and I'm glad to take them out. I don't jump on every root canal tooth and say, "Oh, you must have it taken out." But if many times a person comes to us with multiple problems, and Daniela talks with them at least 1 hour the first time they call us, and she explains what I can do in the meantime, what it could be, and what we can help them with. And when they come, they are so they want to see Daniela, they don't want to see me. So because she's comforting them, and then we many times we have to, when you explain a multiple problem patient, you have to say that the amalgams, if you want to get sane and healthy again, you must have the amalgams taken out. These, because practically everything, and you don't see everything on the X-ray, but practically every root canal tooth, you can see some reaction around the roots which are normal, normal to our colleagues, but to me it's a sign of abscess. I don't say granuloma is the Italian way of putting it, but granuloma is like a healing scar. There's really an abscess is more electric. It's full of bad bacteria. So I talk about abscesses. And this, perhaps you could see this on the X-ray. Many times you don't see what you dig out when you take a root canal tooth out. It's amazing. Things you didn't know that it was so big and so ugly looking. So just start taking out root canal teeth, and you'll get an impression, and you can see people healing from there. Or it could be 2 deep pockets that now the different Sam has gone through the different implants. I'll just repeat that. We have titanium implant, we have our zirconia implant, and this is the first zirconia implant in the world, created by Dr. Sunny Sandhouse, and it was two pieces. This seems very, very fragile, but if you glued it, cemented it, dick to the implant, so it could so it had a contact. The whole base had a contact with the implant. They didn't break it. There's only one that broke, but that was because I haven't cemented it too tight enough. Okay, and but I'm not going to talk about zirconia implants. I'll talk about this is the third one, the PEEK implant, and PEEK plastic has been used in medicine for many years, mainly for example, to substitute broken discs between the vertebral bones, and in other occasions. So it's not a new material to put in the bone. Or when you've taken a bad tooth out, you have to clean the bone very thoroughly. I use nearly always a rather big drill, low speed, and go around inside the extraction site, and to take away the periodontal rests and the first layer of the bone, which is more infected than the rest. There are bacteria everywhere. I mean, they just don't stay put around the tooth. They also go around in the rest of the body, but if you do that and leave fresh bone, bleeding bone, that will make the bone heal without problems. So the surrounding of the implant must be a nice and healthy bone, and the implants will stay. But if you haven't cleaned out and left rest from endodontics, cementum, or other corrosive, the implant will go away. What do you do with it? Why do these implants stick to the bone? It's a reaction where the bone tries to. First of all, it's the surface of the implant that triggers the bone to isolate it and to create new bone around the implant. So what we have is the titanium has this titanium oxide, which makes the bone react and start a new bone formation around the implant. The zirconium is just the whole thing is an oxide, and the bone starts reacting around these two. But the PEEK plastic doesn't have that. It has to be created a surface that makes the bone react and grab it and So there's a layer on the outside of the PEEK plastic implants, which is calcium phosphate and titanium oxide. The size of the titanium oxide particles are not so small, like, the smaller the titanium oxide particles are, the more they penetrate everywhere, and also has this, they are more dangerous to us. So this is the size of titanium oxide on the layer of these implants are not that small and not dangerous. This is what it looks like. This is the titanium oxide and the calcium phosphate particles. This is titanium. When we have peri-implantitis, it's a bit different from periodontitis. It's not the same thing. There's a reaction in the bone that is looks like it seems to that the reaction is an anyway, the periodontitis infection is a bacterial infection. There are bacteria around the PEEK or zirconia implants too, but there's more. I'm sorry, I can't get the word. I jumped there. Anyway, we have this difficulty to keep the titanium implants inside this easily formed peri-implantitis around the titanium implants. So problem with the titanium implants is not necessarily in the bottom. I mean, the last thing to go away when you take a titanium implant out is the last 2 millimeters, which makes it very, very tricky to get out. So it's rather healthy around there, but it is the corrosion between the titanium implant, the part that sticks out in the mouth in contact with saliva, that attracts plaques from and other plaque constructing salts from the saliva, and makes it corrode. That is the problem with titanium implants. You don't have that with the PEEK implants or the zirconia implants. This is just one of this lady came to my office and had problems with her partial, which didn't. It was she had problems with it, and the gum. She had troubles with keeping it clean. Although she went once a year to the dentist to put this in and have the implants cleaned, but it didn't work well. You can see the dentist tried to take away the spires to make it more soft, which is just another desperate way of trying to save a titanium implant. Normally, kids, this is 2 implants I put in 2008 and 2012. This is what it looked like, and this year it has come that it's not very rapid, but it's very annoying and very it's impossible to keep clean. And if you try to make this part lean and clean and make it soft, you don't it doesn't heal, never attacks again. This girl had dead tooth. It's not root canal, but it was dead, so I took it out and had it healed. just let it heal. And this is what it looked like 4 months later, where you can still see the sarcoma, the outlining of the alveol, and it's filled with bone. So I could put an implant in. This is what the bionic, what Dr. Kagulik calls his implants. This is PEEK plastic, and this is it's not screwed in. It's you make a hole and you put it in the way they use with the old IMC titanium implants, the cylindric implants back in 70s and 80s, where you battered it in place. So you have to be very careful with the size of the hole. And by the way, also Sarah Root uses that techniques, or nearly always. You have to have a very good shape of the hole, and be careful when you push it in. Hammer on it, and then together with zirconia, but separate from the others. This is shapeable just after you have put it in, because it's so flexible that it doesn't it doesn't damage the contact with the bone. So you can cut it and shape it the way you like, and then you protect it with an ordinary temporary crown and then the crown. And this is what it looks like on the X-ray. It's hardly visible. You can't see it in the bone, and it's not an advantage, because it's good if you have a contrast between the implant and the bone, but it's an effect. This is how it heals. It creates osteoblasts that grows on the surface and attacks it to the bone. When it's just put in, these are you have the implants here, and after 4 months it's grown that much, and after 4 years you have it filled up with bone. So you have a reaction to the bone where it starts growing and attacking to these implants. If you come from this, it's just put in the implant, and 6 months later you have the bone formation. Oops. Okay. Something died. No. Ah. This is what it looks like when it's molded. It's molded under pressure, and then when it's treated, these are the phosphate, calcium phosphate particles, and it's a nice looking implant. And as it's very new, I've just brought it here to talk about it. I've very short time experience. Many of the slides, some slides are mine, and some are taken from Dr. Kogulik, which is the inventor of these implants, and he's been doing it for many years, and is very satisfied with the results. So this is my favorite slide. I always use it. This man came to me and said he's had this bridge which is made of gold and acrylics, He's had it for 20 years, and it's never came off, but his wife was tired of seeing him because the acrylic had worn off and it was showing gold everywhere. So he just wanted to change it. But I admire the colleague that had the guts to put in a 14-element bridge on 3. I had to take this one away, but there were two molars here and 1 molar there and nothing in between. This is from yesterday evening when the waiter tried to stop John from eating more. So, thanks for your flashback.